Watch through, don't skim through, don't skip through, watch all the way through. What's up everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rob Anzit from Ontario, Canada. And this video is kind of fun. It's a way back, I want to say a throwback Thursday, because that was such a cool hashtag back in the day. It's one of those questions I get asked in the DMs from either wedding photographers or people that are just starting out in the brand space, and how I went from shooting 15 weddings a year, being in the industry for 5 years, to completely closing down all of my books for the wedding industry and completely shifting towards lifestyle brand photography, commercial photography, and recently working as an agency with some of the biggest brands. I'm going to be talking about why the wedding industry was so important to me first, why a lot of photographers should probably start in the wedding industry, skills that transferred over from shooting weddings to now shooting brands, the real shift in general of feeling discouraged because you have to start all over again, where I'm at now in my career, and last but not least, 10 tips that will help you transfer over from shooting weddings to landing your first brand deal online. So stay to watch the full video. See what I did there? I need those watch hours. I'm just starting, so like make sure, watch through, don't skim through, don't skip through, watch all the way through. Thank you. So we're gonna start off with why weddings were the best training. And for most people that were in the wedding industry that have transferred over from weddings to brands, know that weddings are really fast paced. There's no redos in any of the situation. It's make sure you get the photo, make sure it's tack sharp or in focus, and make sure you're in the right spot at the right time to capture the moment. So there's a lot of pressure that builds in your career shooting a wedding. Yes, it's super stressful, but it was also really fun to find the right clients as I built my career. At the end of it, specifically finding clients that really resonated with me, the style that they kind of had with me, and just kind of having fun through this process of being a creative photographer, shooting creative images of people in their most memorable time. I think the best training as well went with managing people. You have to manage emotions, expectations while being a professional photographer. You're wearing a lot of hats on a 12 to 14 hour day. You can also edit the photos on that day, so 16 hours, and send off quick sneak peeks. So there's a lot of best practices when I was learning to be a wedding photographer. You learn to adapt fairly quickly. You learn to find the best light, the best conditions, move really quickly on your feet, think fast, be as creative as possible after you get the shots, work with people. There is a list of things that make you a really good photographer and that teach you skills to transfer over the branding. And that's what I want to talk about. What skills did I specifically learn in the wedding industry that transferred right over to the brand space? If I think about the wedding industry as a whole, from start to finish, there is a lot of things that have transferred over in skills to the branding space, but there's also things that are complete bipolar opposite feelings and emotions and emails that don't transfer at all. If I think about the intro of the wedding industry, you're pre-planning your day. You're making sure you know all of the people to meet, how to welcome them, the organization, the pre-planning, and that really helps with the branding shoot, because most brands want to know what you're planning, what you're doing, what you're shooting, what gear you're using, so on and so forth. I think what matters most from weddings to brands as well too is your shot list. Everything comes down to, your client's expectations. As for weddings, your couples, what's most important to them? There's your shot list. Family, people, moments together, single shots, grandparents, environment, details. That transfers over right to branding. Your shot list still stays the same. What's important to your client that is paying you money to make sure they get the shots that they specifically need when they hire you. I think a big factor as well as being a wedding photographer and a brand photographer is you're working extremely fast and not thinking about the stressing points. It comes down to stress levels. If you're overly prepared, overly organized, you know you have a shot list, that's fantastic. There's weather conditions, there's things that are gonna happen, but you know if you stick to that game plan, it's a less stressful day. And that resonates with branding. If you're super organized, if you know what your clients' expectations are, if you know what your clients' needs are, how to work with them and make things simple for them, your day is really not stressful at all if you can complete that shot list and give them a little bit more and go above and beyond and being a little bit creative. If I want to hone into one specific category, I think delivering on time and having those deliverables set to a date. For most of my wedding clients, when I shot 15 weddings, I would remind them that they would get their gallery within 2 months. So I would have a date set in place. Same with my clients. If their expectation is a fast delivery time, I have a date that I need to set. I lock in that date. I'm very date oriented. If it's not in my Google Docs or in my Google Calendar by setting dates or parameters, it doesn't exist. So if I shoot with a client and their deadline is a specific date, I make sure to have those photos delivered the day before, 2 days prior, to make sure that they know that I focused on their date, that I delivered on time in the future when that time comes, because they can trust me. Branding just felt like the right thing for me. I knew how to sell a product, I knew how to close a client, and I knew how to work with models for lifestyle content that a lot of brands didn't know how to, one, hire the models for the shoot, or work with other photographers that just weren't good with models and couldn't direct them like I did with my wedding clients. So that connection, that gap, that bridge was perfectly set for me because I've worked with so many people in the past shooting weddings, and it transferred over to actually networking with my wedding clients to find brand work and gigs in the commercial space that had a great connection to finding a photographer like myself that was good with shooting with people and lifestyle content. So where am I at currently in 2026? Well, funny enough, last year I shot with a brand called Dickies. You might know them. They're really cool. Actually, I'm wearing their pants right now, their clothing brand. I got to shoot some lifestyle content for their new line of like workwear, which was really cool. And as an agency and someone who thinks farther ahead, I kind of pieced in photography and videography and had a team to shoot something for Dickies. Some of the other brands I've worked with is like Clocks and Colors, Fujifilm, Henry's, so the Canadian brand, Outdoorsy on a last project out in Utah, Niagara Parks, Niagara Falls, a lot of tourism brands locally in Ontario, Canada here, but I'm branching out to the US quite a bit. And when I say, if I could recommend one industry to start in for any brand photographer, I would actually recommend shooting some weddings, or second shooting some weddings, or what's it called, like following the main photographer, basically second shooting weddings, because you learn so much in that industry. You learn how to pre-plan your day, you learn how to take and build a shot list for your client, which are your couples. You learn how to pick the right gear and lenses. You know how to move quickly and stay on your feet to get the right angles and to get unique shots. And you know how to close a deal. The only difference is with deals and more of that business side of from weddings to brands is that it's less emotional based. It's less emotions. If you're sending out emails, templates, writing captions, building your website, all that other back end stuff, there's a lot of more emotion built into it. It's a lot more feelings and love and communicating a story than it is with brands. Brands want facts, brands want numbers, brands want communication. They want a simple link to book a discovery call. They want to know that you're the expert that is going to solve their problems, solve their whys, and make their life really easy. When I'm in my brand space or connecting with clients, I know that they're coming to me for efficiencies. So, hey Rob, we'd love to work with you. No problem. Here's a link to book a discovery call. I have an intake form. It's all about numbers. What's your budget? What's your expectation? How long are you using the images for? So on and so forth, that when they jump on a call, I already know pricing in my head. And that's different than having your wedding industry where you have packages built out for 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, elopements, all that fun stuff. It's not about your day hours per budget. Branding is more literally your budget per project. What is your budget per project? If you don't have your budget, they're gonna come to you and say, what's your half day, your full day? What are your rates? And that's another thing that is different from weddings to brands, is that you go off of almost your own rate card, or getting really familiarized with how to deal with clients and asking the right questions to give you the right answers to give them the right quote. And the quicker you are with that, the more efficient you become. And that's what brands really look for. Hey Rob, we want a quick email. If you can get back to them in 48 hours, typically that's a really good sign for the brand to work with you. If you get back to them in 2 weeks to a month, it just shows that you're not prepared and you're inexperienced. So there's two different factors to consider: weddings being more emotion-based and branding being more business logic and numbers. Okay, if you made it this far, here are my top 10 tips on how to land your first brand deal, or what to do when you're establishing yourself in the brand space when you're leaving the wedding industry. So this is number 10. I'd recommend documenting everything. Start promoting yourself on social, in any of the platforms that you're currently on, advertising 3 to 5 times a week on specifically what you want to brand yourself in. Number 9, your first deal won't be perfect. It might actually be free. And there's something to say about that's okay if you're starting in the brand space. And honestly, if you're working with a big brand and you want their attention, working for free is okay. There's a concept that I say, it's free to fee concept. You work for free to build out a concept for a fee. And that's totally fine. If you're building your portfolio, if you're changing your industry, say if I'm going from the tourism board to adventure and kind of dirt bike space, you're gonna want to build your portfolio and advertise. So working for free or kind of your first deal won't necessarily be perfect, and that's okay. It's a learning curve when you're building your kind of your clientele in the space that you want to be in. Number 8 is just something simple. Be easy to work with. When a person reaches out to you and they ask you questions, have maybe an intake form, have questions ready, have a clickable link that they can book a call with you to do a discovery call with you. Just be as simple as possible. If there are hurdles or roadblocks in a client booking you over me, and my roadblocks don't exist and they can just click the link, they can book the call, I can get to know what their budget is, I can understand what their brand is really quickly in 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever the case may be, most likely I'll win that. So don't be a roadblock, don't be a hurdle, just make things super easy for that client. Be a partner and expand with just understanding what their needs are. Number 7 kind of goes along with that, is like, think like a partner, not like a creator. So expand on their why. Why do they need these types of photos or videos? Why do they want to work with you compared to anyone else? Think for the brand, put yourself in their shoes, see how you can help. If you go on their website and they don't have lifestyle content of people using their products, ding, 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 here's a problem I can solve for you by working with some of the models that I currently have on my roster that I can hire out to shoot with your products so that you have an easier time selling your products on your website or social media. Number 6 should be straightforward, but it's not, and I think people have a hard time with this, is be obvious to what you want to do and who you want to shoot with and the industry you want to be in. When I first started out, I would post everything. Let's just say the grass outside, the trees in the air, and the clouds and whatever. And I was like, why am I not getting any deals? When I reach out to someone, they can't see what I'm interested in. Yeah, no shit, because you're not making it obvious for them. Make sure that it's like pretty straightforward, that they, the public, understand what you want to do, so that when you go after someone, they know exactly what you're experienced in. Again, number 5 is pretty straightforward, is just show the work you want to do. You know, build a portfolio. If you don't have dirt bike images, if you don't have imagery of a winery and you want to get into the wine space, shoot that content, post it out to the world, update your website so that it kind of meshes and bridges that gap, and then just be that person in that industry. It's very simple to get overwhelmed and overcomplicate things with your own branding. But if you want to go after an industry, make sure you have the right content, make sure it's your best work that you're putting out there, and make sure that it correlates from your website to your social, to your emails, to whatever you're posting online. Again, these are very connected, but make sure your social media platform, whatever you use, looks like a very high-end portfolio. And obviously this is gonna shift from time to time as like platforms are gonna want you to do certain things. Like right now it's reels and short form videos to show up, but it's okay to sprinkle in the content that you actually need to sell and remind people what you do, because people forget. And if you only have a split second to catch someone's attention on a social media app or a website, you better damn well know that your portfolio matters, that what you have to offer shows up on your account, and that people know exactly who you are and what you do really well. Number 3 really is a mind game. You don't need a lot of followers and a big number to attract brands. Completely false. That is just a mind game. Yes, it looks good to the brand if they're reaching out to use you as an influencer, but there's programs in the world that can analyze your platform to see what your rating is in, let's just say, your community space or whatever the case may be. But if you're really good at something and you have 500 followers or 1,000 followers, and you put a really good DM out there to any brand like I did for Dickies, and that's how I got them, is just reaching out, then the connection is built off of your skill level and not necessarily your numbers. So keep that in mind. Everyone thinks they need a big number, a big following to attract the big brands and the big fish. That's not the case at all. If you continuously put out your small nets everywhere, you're gonna catch a fish somewhere. So keep that in mind. It doesn't matter about your numbers. It just matters of how dedicated you are to your craft, whether or not you have your shit together, and if the brand considers your work to be very established and very good for their brand to make sense to sell a product or a service. Number 2 goes to something I spoke about earlier about weddings being emotional and business and branding being based off numbers. Just be really familiarized with numbers, either half day rates, full day rates, hourly rate, project scopes, deliverables, if they're expecting 10 photos instead of 20 photos, if they want to purchase the full gallery. Literally have like your own chart, your a la carte chart in your head so you already know. And when you do your discovery call or any call or a meeting call, those are the questions you can ask right away so that you're already ticking off your shot list. So if they're like, we want 20 photos, perfect, that could be around there. We think we need 2 to 4 models, okay, that could be priced there. You know, we're looking for some wide angles and some narrow shots. Well, maybe you need to rent lenses. Okay, renting lenses, that line, or I already have them, that saves them money, perfect. Location scouting, how many hours does that cost? Have those numbers figured out. The quicker you know, the more efficient. Again, it goes back to the brands don't want to waste their time. If they go to someone they want to work with right away, they should know that stuff and then give them their reasoning on why it costs $10,000 for you to work with me, and or working with another photographer who's gonna charge $2,000 and say, yeah, it's cheap because of this. They potentially might look at the scale of $2,000 and $10,000 and be like, oh, this person is way too cheap. You know, why is that so cheap? They're not estimating any of these real deliverables, and a lot of brands will look at that to be like, we're okay with spending the $10,000 because we know it's going to be done right. We know he's an expert in his field. He priced it accordingly. We need to pay this because we'll get the shots we need to sell our product. Last but not least, all right, number 1, stop waiting for the brands to reach out to you. Stop waiting. There's no point in waiting. You're against 50 other 100 million people that are potentially taking photos the same way as you. The only difference between me and you is I go after the brand. I don't wait for them. I send a DM, I interact with their account, I put my 2 cents in, I comment, I support the brand, I find weaknesses and gaps in their system or in their business to potentially go to them and say, hey guys, I see these problems that you're facing, here are solutions, and this is what it costs for that solution. This is the difference between a lot of the people in my industry that are like, I don't get these brands. Yeah, you're probably just not going after them because of these top 10 lists that I just made about your business and why you're not going after someone when you have the potential to do it. I'm not better than anyone else taking a photo or editing it. There's probably people way better than me and way more qualified to work with some of the brands that I've worked with. But the only difference is I went after them, I pitched them, I had a link, I had efficiencies, I knew numbers, I knew how to work with people, I knew how to speak properly and communicate to the client, and I closed the deal at the end of the day. That's pretty much it. Whew, that was a lot. That was cool though. That gets me hyped because I love talking about this stuff. So if you found any value in all of this stuff, leave a comment, let me know what you think. If you want any other topics around going deeper into leaving the wedding industry or talking more about the brands, please let me know in the comment section. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. For every Thursday, we upload a video on my YouTube channel. And for everything else, I hope you have a fantastic day. Love your homie, Rob. Peace out.